Since the atrocities committed on October 7th by Hamas and other Palestinian terrorists, I've seen far too many people in the media and on streets around the world who claim the atrocities didn't happen or that Israel is exaggerating what happened. Few Palestinians have condemned what happened on October 7th. I went to Kfar, one of the Israeli communities that suffered from the October 7th attacks, with Sinijlawi, a new Palestinian friend, in the hopes that he would share his thoughts as a Palestinian about October 7th. With the help of the World Jewish Congress, our visit was videoed so that everyone could see the destruction through Samer's eyes. I am grateful to Samer not only for visiting Kfar, but also for allowing us to share his thoughts publicly in this video. You will see that Samer and I don't see eye to eye regarding Israel's war and Hamas. There are other distinctions in how we see things as well. Samer firmly believes that the horrors of October 7th do not represent what Palestinians stand for. Many will disagree with Samer's view. Samer firmly believes change is coming for the Palestinians. He thinks the younger generation of Palestinians want a different, better future. Time will tell if Samer is correct. I certainly hope he is. Peace between Israelis and Palestinians may be a long way off. Many believe it will never be achieved, but that does not absolve us from our obligation to continue the dialogue and to try to build a path for it to happen, if the circumstances are ever right. What follows is an edited version of the video taken of that visit that Samer and I made to Kfar on January 3rd, 2024, around 3 months after that absolutely horrific day. Well, thank you, Samer, for joining us, for joining my son, Sarah, the World Jewish Congress.
He was maybe the first one that his name was published in the Israeli media. That I was shocked. And I honestly cried because he's a friend. I lost a friend. And he's not the only friend that I have lost that day. I know also Vivian Silva. She was very active also. And she led an organization called Women Wish Peace. It's a big movement with 50 or 60,000 women from both sides, Palestinians and Israelis. And she was volunteering 3 days a week in driving patients who are coming from Gaza and going to hospitals, mainly in Jerusalem. I went to her funeral, Kibbutz Gezer. And I am living this experience on both sides because I have also friends who are falling in Gaza. So I can feel the grief and the sadness on a human basis. Major issues of humanity like the sanctity of life. We cannot compromise. We need to have steadfast position of identifying ourselves with the victim. We cannot change history. What has happened has happened. We need to work harder into trying to avoid things to happen again. I think Israelis and Palestinians both deserve to live peacefully, in security, in respect to each other, and we have no other chance but to work towards this. And I'm 100% confident that the majority of Israelis, the majority of Palestinians would like to live in peace, in coexistence together. I can speak here before, first of all, on the Palestinian side, I think we have a lack of leadership. If we do have leadership that was working harder, we could have avoided such tragedies. One of the things that I really appreciate on what you have done, Jason, is that you have presented a plan, a peace plan. Okay, maybe some people did not like it, but at least you were sincere in presenting a plan. And that's what we both need. Somebody a little bit to push us towards thinking of ways out of the current situation, because who wants to lose a friend in a war? Nobody, I guess nobody. Almost 50% of those who attended her funerals were Palestinians, Arab Israelis and Palestinians. So A funeral can tell you what kind of life she really was a bridge between Israelis and Palestinians. We should work very hard in not making this happen again. There is nothing that can justify to lose a human being's life, regardless being Palestinian or Israelis. This should be the last war. We need to be sure this is the last war. We deserve, both Israelis and Palestinians, to live peacefully. And it needs leadership. It needs courageous leadership. And it starts with standing here and saying this did not represent. And we need to be sincere in the message. You are a leader who has shown in the past that he wants to do something to this corner of the world. You have sacrificed your own career, your own business. You signed in to join the administration, and you have spent a lot of time here trying to push everybody towards a solution. We need you back. Yes, sir. We need you back. We need you back with a plan, and you will find lots of Palestinians and Israelis that will sign in for this, because we learned something from the 7th October, and these are very hard days for everybody, and we don't want them to face us again in the future.
Thank you, Samar. I think one of the challenges is, how do we convince Israelis and even Americans, and even if I was in the White House, that what you say about how it doesn't represent Palestinians, how do we capture that? Is it true? And who else is willing to say it out loud? I think from the American perspective, I can't speak for the Israeli perspective. They hear and see so much hate, and there's so few Palestinians that condemn what happened on October 7th. In fact, unfortunately, there's so few Arabs that are condemning it. So many are saying it didn't happen, it's exaggerated. The question is, how do we get those voices to say it out loud? But thank you for saying it out loud.
Nothing. Whatever the cause could have been seen internally as a good cause, it does not allow us as Palestinians to do whatever has been done here. It's not allowed from a moral, from a human, from a religious, from all kinds of aspects. At the same time, if we look a little bit there, I'm sure that innocent people are losing their lives. We should stop this. We should find a way to stop this. We should be able to be sincere in trying to, again, even if this conflict will go a little bit more, we should draw more red lines. No side is authorized to cause any harm to the other side, to steal lives from the other side. This is not the way to solve things, and nothing can justify it. What has happened here on the 7th October by no means can be accepted or seen as part of whatever we are calling for. And everybody realized it. There was a poll that was released recently where it comes to the conclusion that 78% of the Palestinians supported the 7th of October. And when this was released, I've got into discussion with a group of 18 Palestinian students in one of the universities. I rephrased the question, because when you ask somebody, are you with or against the 7th of October, sometimes they catch it as, are you with or against Gaza? And I asked them, do you support killing babies and women and civilians, Israeli babies and women and civilians? The 18 students said no. So when you take a stand where you put things into the right details, no human being will accept them. Who can identify himself with what has happened here? No normal human being can. This conflict is pushing us more and more to where we are losing our humanity. And we should stand up against it quickly, immediately, strongly. What has happened here should not happen. And being a Palestinian, standing here, clearly identifying myself against everything that has happened here, I also look there and I say, it's a pity. Also, both Israelis and Palestinians are losing their lives there. I want this to end as quick as possible. I want the whole thing to end as quick as possible. From the Palestinian side, I can see the change coming. The young generation is more understanding. We have the DNA of this conflict. And we know that the only chance that we have is to work into a path that leads us to some kind of a coexistence arrangements. And this can happen only if the Israelis feel comfortable, if we are able to enter to the hearts and minds of the Israelis, if we are able to convince them that we are sincere into coexistence, because the level of mistrust and ignorance is what is fueling this conflict again and again. We live together, but we don't trust each other. We have a lot of memories, very bad memories. Whether these people again will believe in peace, I'm not sure. But if they find sincere Palestinians that will identify themselves with their sadness and grief and identify themselves on standing against these acts, then maybe we will be able to gain them again and sign them again into supporting the coexistence. And it needs to go on a massive level.
Yeah, look, I agree with so much of what you said. And I wonder if one of the key issues that sets us apart, and let me start by saying, and I see the fires, the smoke in Gaza, the last thing I want to see are innocent baby Palestinians, children, women, men, innocent dying there. But I think the difference is soldiers like Ron, anybody, the IDF, when they go there, they're trying to protect their country. They're not going there to rape women. They're not going there to burn babies. There's a tragic consequence to war. I think when the people came here, Hamas, I'm not saying all Palestinians, I never say that, but their intent was to murder Israelis, to burn them. So it's okay to have the conversation about people dying on both sides. It's a tragedy. I accept that. But I think it's two different types of conversations. One is intentional murder, intentional destruction of lives, and the other one is as part of a terrible war, terrible conflict for decades, innocent lives being taken. I see them as two separate conversations, so maybe that's where we have a gap in our way of thinking. From my perspective, not an Israeli, as an American Jew who supports Israel, former White House envoy, and I could say probably true the way the Trump administration saw the conflict. I can't speak for the Biden administration, but for everything they've done to support Israel since October 7, I think they have a similar thought. So you have a guy like Jimmy who was killed, who went paragliding, to go paragliding, to enjoy, right? Then you have Hamas, not Palestinians. I want to be very clear. Hamas and other Palestinian terrorists like Hamas, who went paragliding to hunt down 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds and ordinary people. And I think that's the distinction that I find so hard to make people understand, which is he wasn't interested in hunting. And the IDF is not interested in hunting 3-year-olds or 5-year-olds or women or any innocent person. When innocent people got killed, how far away from Gaza?
Less than a mile.
Less than a mile. Whereas these guys who came in the paragliders, who breached the fence, they literally hunted down Israelis. And I don't know if you agree with that, accept that, understand it, but I just wanted to raise that story again because this very moving exhibit just really drove home the point of the different kind of paragliders.
But how can we change the way Palestinians and Israelis feel toward each other. This is the challenge.
Summer, in this part, we're seeing a lot of the homes have the posters of the people who are kidnapped. And as you know, all around the world, there are people, terrible people in my view, ripping down these posters. As a Palestinian, what would you say to the people who are ripping down the posters of his people?
And I think the least we can do is respect that these people are passing into a very difficult days of being kidnapped away from their community and their families. To work hard to make sure that they go back home as soon as possible. I think this is something that everybody should identify himself with. No, there is no reason for such things to happen. For a person to wake up in the morning and find himself away from his family. It has been long now, and I think immediately these people should be released, should be back safe to their homes. Immediately this war should stop. This should be the target of everybody. Work hard to put an end to this. This should end.
And would you tell them to stop ripping down the posters?
Of course. This is unrespectful not only to the hostages, it's unrespectful even if anybody feels that by this way he is showing solidarity to any side of the conflict. This is not the way. If we really want to show solidarity to any good cause, it should be by respecting the grief of the other. We do identify ourselves. I think I feel that anybody who is trying to show some acts against the pictures of the hostages is something that really disrespects me as a Palestinian, not only as Israelis, because really most of the Palestinians would like to see an end to this happening. I mean, we are here in a place that it is witnessing a lot of injustice that has happened to a lot of innocent people. Most of them were fighting for peace to come for Palestinians and Israelis. And it's our obligation now to try to have them back to their community, to release them, and to end this war. So nobody wants to see this continuing. And I want to make sure that if we have a common target together, we need to prevent any loss of life. For me, a baby life, a child life in Gaza means a lot to me as a Palestinian. And a loss of a baby or a child life in Kfar Gaza also makes me sad and grieved. The same way a loss of a life of a child 2 kilometers away in Gaza is important and makes me feel sad. So before being Israelis or Palestinians, we need to be human beings. And no human being can accept a life to be lost. So it's a time while we are sad and grieve the losses. It's time to start thinking about the future. Yes, we will have a lot of bad memories. I will always remember Ofer, Levenstein, and Vivian Silver, and some other friends that were lost here during these days. And I will always remember lots of friends that I know that are losing their life now in Gaza. We need to stop this madness. We need to stop it forever. And the only way we can achieve peace and security is only through dialogue. There is no other way. Violence will take us nowhere. I hope that now, today, all the efforts will start focusing on building again Kfar Gaza and Otef Gaza, and also building again Gaza. And to be sure that both people will be able to live and love each other. And I think it's possible because we are human beings. We did not come to this world with hatred inside. It came to us, it conquered to us. We need to find a way to fight this hatred. I'm here to say to the Israeli people, you need to retrust again the possibility for peace. Don't lose hope. We shouldn't lose hope. We should keep trying and trying until it happens. This is a very important book. If we understand what it says, we will find our way towards peace.
Samer, may I just ask you a question?
Yes.
And thank you for the broad message of peace. But we toured this together with my son, Ron, Sarah. What's your impression of what happened on October 7th now that you've seen it? It's my first time too.
It's terrible, Jason. It's really terrible. And I'm really very happy, very sad that it has happened. Nobody can accept it. And everybody, in such major human issues, where we are talking about the sanity of life, we should always have a steadfast position. There is no margin for compromises. We should condemn any killings, any target, any violence. This madness should stop immediately. I'm 100% sure that the majority of Israelis and Palestinians really deep from their hearts want peace. Now it's a very sensitive and sad days, and we understand that as a Palestinian now, and I would like to speak on behalf of Palestinians, our national interest should be built on the Israeli security. If we cannot provide the means for Israelis to feel secure, if we cannot deliver security to Israelis, we will not be able to progress in developing ourselves. So it's part of our national interest should be focusing on Israeli security. And I think Israelis should adapt into a strategy that also, as part of their national interest, they should find a way for Palestinians to progress economically, develop, flourish. And we need to see each other as the solution to each other. We are not the problem to each other. We are the solution to each other. I think the only working strategy for Palestinians is non-violence. There is no other way. Any use of violence harms. We should draw moral red lines in our way and path to achieve political achievement and progress. Without these moral red lines, we are harming ourselves. It applies everywhere. We should never justify any killing, anywhere. It applies anywhere. There is no way to accept and not to condemn in all the words possible what has happened here, definitely. And what I'm trying to say that I am feeling sad for all these lives that have been lost here, really deep from my heart, and that's why I'm here. I am here not only because you asked me to come, because I felt I needed to come. I missed the funeral of Ofer, but I really wanted to come and pay this visit of respect to his soul. But, also deep in me, I cannot find a reason why any kid at this moment is losing his life anyway. For me, a kid in Kfar Gaza, his life is as important to me as the life of any kid 1 kilometer away in Gaza. And I feel responsible that I want both kids to live. Okay, it's two different stories. I understand. But as a person who considers himself a leader in the Palestinian side, I want to dedicate my life to prevent the loss of any kid, anywhere, for any reasons. It doesn't matter.
Well, we both agree that all the kids should live.
So true.
Thank you.